Guess what? On August 31st, a Friday, we have a trade to discuss.
Man.
Thank you, Adrian Wojnarowski, for reporting that the Rockets made a deal with the Phoenix Suns last night, trading Ryan Anderson and the rights to rookie DeAnthony Melton for Marquese Chriss and Brandon Knight. Guys, the Rockets were one game away from reaching the NBA Finals last year, but Chris, after the offseason moves that they've made, and they've made a bunch of them, are they closer to actually winning a title?
I think they're closer since they let Trevor Ariza go earlier during free agency.
Okay, so you're saying they're farther away, but they're closer than they used to
Now
be.
they are. I was down on them once they let him leave and they let Moute leave, because we all know the strength of the Houston Rockets last year was their perimeter defense, the versatility where guys can switch. Now you bring in Marquese Chriss, a guy who needs a change of scenery, another lob presence, and you hope that that's going to revigorate him. So I like it. It adjusts them. It moves them up just a bitly slightly since July.
I feel like they got out of Ryan Anderson's deal, but guys, I gotta be honest, when I looked at the names and I looked at who was going where, I kind of shrugged my shoulders and went, whatever, because I don't think anybody within this deal is gonna make that much of a major impact as far as can you beat Golden State.
I mean, they can look at themselves in the mirror, guys, and honestly say that they were a Chris Paul injury away from maybe winning the championship. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure maybe the finals might have been a little bit closer because the matchup might have been a little bit better for the Cavs, but when you're that close to a title, that does not lead me to believe that you move away from that. You're trying to add to it. And if you look at all of the moves on the roster that they had this offseason, and granted, a lot of these are role players. I mean, ultimately, you look at the bottom of the screen there, they re-signed Chris Paul and Clint Capela. That was probably the most important thing that they did. But look at all these new faces, and you look at the guys on the left. I see guys who are not necessarily good defenders. Okay, I'll maybe give Michael Carter-Williams and James Ennis, but you look at the guys on the right, and you're missing some of the best guys you have. So you look at Carmelo Anthony. He's not helping you defend the Warriors. You look at Brandon Knight. He was not a good defensive player before he tore his ACL, and he's coming off an ACL injury. So while I do give the concept that Mike D'Antoni will maybe get more out of Chris and get more out of Brandon Knight, because we've seen guys come into Mike D'Antoni and move forward, I'm not sure this actually helps them close the Warriors gap.
But do you agree that they're better since July?
No, they're not.
They're not even better since July.
Back, And the other thing is there's been some money issues that have been part of these deals. When you talk to executives in the league, they're like, they're spending a lot of money on James Harden, Chris Paul, and now Clint Capela, and they've just had to spend less money on their role players. So if you look at this information that we put together here, our researchers, you look at the percentage of the cap for their big three. Yeah. Look how much money they're making, okay? And they're going to be a team that's going to be in the luxury tax for a while. They're going to be repeater tax. If you're Tillman Fertitta and you're Daryl Morey and you got to manage that cap, you got to say, listen, we got to maybe cut some money. In this deal, while we want to run around circles, this cuts maybe $10 million off for next year.
I look at that graphic and I go, they better win this year. Because when you've got Chris Paul's deal on the books for the next few years and you have that much locked into that much money moving forward, you better win this season, because if you don't, I think you're in a whole heap of trouble as far as still trying to climb up this way.
And regardless of his deal, you've got the clock ticking on Chris Paul. You don't know how many years left he's got his prime. I don't think any of us think in year 4 of that deal he's going to be the same Chris Paul that he was last year.
Man, we don't know if he's going to be that same Chris Paul this coming up season.
Right.
But to answer your question, no, they haven't gained ground in the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors are just on another level right now. Hopefully, the Rockets they just hope that some of those young guys can improve and get to the point where they can contribute.